Hi everyone, it's Pastor Wagner. This is my weekly video blog. Today I want to talk about who the sons of God were in Genesis chapter 6, and I will begin by reading the first 4 verses of Genesis 6. It says, "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown." So we have daughters being born to the sons of men, and then the sons of God see this happening. The sons of God see that these daughters of men were fair, they were beautiful to look upon, and these sons of God take unto them these daughters of men, and the product of these marriages were mighty men, giants, men of renown. Now there are two ideas out there, or maybe more than two, but there are two common ideas out there of who these sons of God were. One idea says that the sons of God were the godly Sethites. Seth was the son of Adam and Eve that replaced Abel, and they say that the sons of God there are the godly Sethites. And they would look at the phrase sons of God in the New Testament and say that sons of God are referring to the children of God, to blood-bought, redeemed men. The other idea is that the sons of God were the fallen angels that went in unto the daughters of men, and then they produced these human hybrids and produced these giants. Now, my position is, and my belief on this is, that the sons of God were the fallen angels, and I will make my case for that presently based on the following. So, first of all, the phrase, the sons of God, in the Old Testament only appears 4 times, and in those 4 times, outside the other 3 outside of Genesis chapter 6, it's always referring to angels. Now, people will say the sons of God refer to, men, regenerate men in the New Testament, but think about it. Job and Genesis are the first books written in the Bible. Job was the first book chronologically, or the first book in time, and then Genesis would have been the first book chronologically, beginning at the beginning of time, the events of it anyway, would have been the first book. Anyway, Genesis and Job are some of the earliest books of the Bible, and you would have at least 1,500 years before the New Testament ever comes around. And when you look at the phrase sons of God, for that whole period of time in the Old Testament, it's always, at least outside of Genesis 6, not to beg the question, it's always referring to the angels. So it would be a common interpretation for Jews back in the Old Testament to look at Genesis 6 and compare it with all the rest of the scripture and assume that this is speaking of the fallen angels. Let me just read you those verses. They are Job 1:6 and Job 2:1, similar verses. It says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them." So here you have these sons of God presenting themselves before the Lord, and Satan appears with them. We're not talking about men here on earth, obviously. We're talking about angels, and Satan is one of the fallen angels. He is coming to present himself before the Lord. This is before Satan was kicked out of heaven entirely, to where he couldn't be the accuser of the brethren in heaven anymore. He was cast down to the earth, and then eventually he was cast into the bottomless pit, and eventually he'll be cast into the lake of fire. Job 2 and verse 1 says, "Again there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord." Now, somebody might wonder, oh, maybe these are men. Well, they're not men, because clearly, unless they're regenerate men in heaven or something, but once again, now we're talking about people in heaven, we're not talking about people on earth. But the one that really cinches it up is Genesis 38:6 and 7. It says, "Whereupon are the foundations fastened?" God is questioning Job here about the creation. "Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof?" Of the earth he's talking about. "When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy." God is saying to Job, where were you when I created the earth, laid the foundation of it, and at that time the sons of God, the morning stars, sang and shouted for joy? obviously we're not talking about human men here, are we? This is when God was laying the foundation of the world 6 days before men were ever created. We're talking about the angels here. The sons of God are angels, no doubt about it. Now, these angels are sons of God by creation, right? Just like Adam was the son of God by creation. We're told in Luke 3 and verse 38, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. So Adam, whether or not he was a regenerate child of God, we don't know, at least I don't know, but this is speaking of Adam being the son of God by creation. God directly created Adam on this earth, and therefore he is his son. He is his creation. That is the same way in which the angels are the sons of God. They are the sons of God by creation. Now, point number 2, why I believe that the sons of God in Genesis 6 are the angels, is that angels can materialize and become as human beings with a flesh body and do physical things. Let me just give you 2 examples. The first one is in Genesis 19, 1 through 3. It says, "And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat." So here you have angels identified in the Bible. They come as flesh bodies, and they abide in Lot's house, and they even eat with him. It says, and they did eat. So here we see angels can materialize with human bodies, and they can even eat and process food. They can do human things. Daniel 9 and verse 21 says, "Yea, whiles I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in a vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation." Daniel prays to God. God dispatches the angel Gabriel, and the angel Gabriel flies to Daniel. Daniel identifies him as the man Gabriel because he appeared as a man and he touched him. He had a physical body to physically touch him. Angels can materialize as men. That's my point. The third thing is that in Genesis 6:1, we see that it says that men on the face of the earth had daughters born unto them. And then in Genesis 6:2, when men were having daughters born unto them, it says the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair. You see, men are having daughters, and then the sons of God see these daughters of men. You see how the sons of God are contrasted with men? There's something different about the sons of God and about men. They're set in sharp contrast. Let me just read that to you. Genesis 6:1 and 2. "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." The next point, number 4, is if the sons of God were Sethites, were these godly Sethites, were there no fair women among the Sethites for them to find among their own women? I mean, it says that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair. Well, if these are Sethites, were there no good-looking women among the Sethites? Why were the only good-looking women the ungodly daughters of the other Adamites out there? Why weren't there good-looking, beautiful women among the Sethites? We look today, among the godly and ungodly, there's beautiful women that are godly, there's beautiful women that are ungodly. Why would the Sethites have to go to these women because they were beautiful when there would have been beautiful women of their own stock? Now, it would make sense then, so it doesn't make sense for the Sethites to have to go outside of their own family to marry these beautiful women, but it would make sense for the fallen angels to go outside of their breed, to go and take up residence and marry human women, because there were no there were no beautiful female angels, because there are no female angels. There are only male angels, and angels are not given in marriage in heaven, and for good reason, because there are no female angels. We're told in Matthew 22 and verse 30, "For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven." So when we get to heaven, we will not be marrying and giving in marriage, just like the angels. They don't either. But these fallen angels, these sons of God, look at these beautiful women, and they see what's going on with they see what the men are doing with the daughters of men down there, and they like what they see, and they think, I want to have some of that too. After all, I can materialize as a human being. I can eat. I can touch people. Why can't I go down there and have some sex with women and enjoy myself? And that is what I contend exactly what they did. Fifthly, if the sons of God in Genesis 6, 2 and 4 were the godly Sethites and the daughters of men were the wicked Cainites, why would their offspring with those alleged women, with those alleged wicked women, be giants and men of renown? Think about it. We got here godly Sethites who are procreating with ungodly Cainites or whoever they are, these ungodly women. Why would their descendants be mighty men of renown? Why would they be giants? What would be different about the descendants of Sethites with women of another tribe or family? They're all human beings. They're all exactly the same. What would be the difference? Why would they create giants? Because clearly the statement in Genesis 6 is that these giants were the offspring of these sons of God and daughters of men. Why would they be giants if the godly Sethites are just men and the daughters of men are men? Why the giants? Now, of course, it would make sense if you have angels, which would be which would have to be the same species of men, but a different variation of men or strand of man or something like that. Basically, in order to breed, you have to be the same species, but the angels are obviously a different variety of the same species, and they are of a greater power and intellect and things like that, but yet they would have to be the same species, I would maintain. But we can see that if they were a little bit different, they had some different genes or traits in their DNA, that their descendants could be giants in the earth. That would make sense. Sixthly, the book of Jude speaks of the angels which kept not their first estate, which is their normal state or nature, and I'll give you the definition in just a minute, and they left their habitation even as, in like manner, that the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, who gave themselves over to fornication and to go after strange flesh. So where Jude tells us that the angels of God, or that the angels, the fallen angels, did the same thing that the men of Sodom and Gomorrah did. They left their estate, they left their original purpose and nature, and they went in unto people that were not given to them. They went after strange flesh. Let me read the verse and then give you some definitions and open this up. Jude 1, 6 and 7. It says, And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, under the judgment of the great day. Verse 7, Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. So what these angels did, the Bible says, was even as what the men of Sodom did, in like manner. Let me define the term estate here. It says the angels which kept not their first estate. Estate, the noun, this is the primary definition from the Oxford English Dictionary. It says state or condition in general, whether material or moral, bodily or mental. In modern English, which is the language of the King James Bible, in modern English, it is constitution, nature. It says it's almost exclusively used in biblical phrases. These angels left their constitution or their nature. Their nature was spiritual beings. Okay? They left that nature of being a purely spiritual being. They took on human flesh. They materialized this flesh, and we know from the Bible that they can do this because I just gave you verses that showed it. So they left their first estate, they left their constitution and nature, they took on human flesh, and they married human women. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah went after strange flesh. Now, strange, primary definition, Oxford English Dictionary, when we're speaking of persons, language, or customs, this is number one definition, of or belonging to another country, foreign, alien. The men of Sodom went after strange flesh, foreign flesh to them. They went after men. They were sodomites. That's weird, right? That is going after something foreign that does not belong unto you. Well, the angels did the same thing. They went after something foreign or alien to them, that is, human women that did not belong to them. They did the same type of thing. So in other words, some of the fallen angels left their constitution and nature and went after strange flesh, in this case human women, even as in like manner the men of Sodom did to people, men in their case, who were not given to them. So if we put this all together, I am convinced that the sons of God that went in under the daughters of men were fallen angels that materialized into human bodies and had sex with human women and created superhuman offspring. In that the angels that did this were bound up in everlasting chains unto darkness until the judgment of the great day, in Jude 1 and verse 6, I am not convinced that this is still happening today. I can't prove that it's not happening today. I can't prove a negative. But based on the fact that it says that the angels that did that are locked up in everlasting chains under the judgment of the last day, I'm not convinced it's still happening. What I see is in Genesis 6, it happened before the flood. It happened in the 120 years before the flood. There was all mass wickedness on this earth, and then God judged the human race and killed all those half-breeds, they call them the Nephilim, all those giants. They were all killed off, and then God started again with Noah and with his 3 sons and their daughters. I don't have Bible that says that it happened again. And I do have Bible that says that the angels that did that were locked up in everlasting chains under the judgment of the last day. So therefore, I am not convinced that it's still happening today. If it is, somebody can prove that to me and show that to me. I've read some people who have tried. I did not walk away convinced. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that I am not convinced based on what I read here in the Scripture. So thanks again for listening. I hope this was helpful and beneficial to somebody out there who had this question. And I'll talk to you again next week, Lord willing.